patchwork quilt. That's actually handmade, and you can see some flaws in it, she said. And that's the imperfection, and that's what I'm going to talk about, because that's the perfection of who and what you are the imperfections of each one of us. And so it was a perfect altar for us. We're also, just wanted to put it out to you, if you are, we are forming groups this year for the book study this year, and the book is a manual for the peacemaker. I don't know if that's, we don't have that in here. It's a manual for the peacemaker by Gene Houston. So if you, and there are sign-ups in the back, if you have not gotten into a group and you would like to, that's actually really a powerful book. And there's going to be monthly study guides to kind of help you work through that book and learn something new. So let's talk first about the beliefs that we have that are outlined on that sheet for you. And today I've highlighted just two that I'm really going to talk about. The first is we believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. And if you have been in a Science of Mind class, Foundations, or any of our other classes, you know that that is exactly what we believe. That is what Ernest Holmes teaches us. It is one of our guiding principles. And the other one that I'm going to flag is we believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of life to all. So if God is all there is, and God is living and moving and having its being in and through and as each one of us, that means we're all connected. We are all one global family. And sometimes, I think in Science of Mind and in religious science and Centers for Spiritual Living, we might forget that we are all connected sometimes, because it's about my consciousness. It's about what I'm thinking. It's about, can I change my outer experience from speaking my word into the law for my own cause and my own personal effect? Well, that's great. But just imagine that each one of us are out there doing that in the world. Each one of us are speaking our own cause out into the law and receiving our own effect, whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, whether we understand the law or not. We're all doing it. And so then we kind of wonder what it's about when we're all kind of bumping into each other, with each of our causes and effects living and moving and having their being in amongst a world of others who are speaking their word and having their own causes and their own effects. And so, understanding that our thoughts create our reality, there are some spiritual principles that are always at work. And they begin with unity. As I said, we are all connected. And whether we recognize it or not, realize it or not, or like it or not, we are all, if we say that all that there is God, then that means that each one of us is a piece, an individualized expression of that one. So that must mean we're all connected. We are all drops in the same ocean. And so there is a unity at work. And there is a universal spiritual principle that God is peace. Now, that sounds kind of odd when we look at a world that is filled with terrorism and calamity and discord. We see it in our politics. We see it in our religions. We see it between countries. We see it everywhere around us if that's what we're looking for. In our outer experience, that's what we see. Thomas Troward says, as our consciousness of unity becomes more perfect, so will the life-givingness of spirit become more apparent. If we're going to look at the outer appearances of the world around us and find fault and cause with someone else that is living and moving and speaking their word and bumping into us because it doesn't quite, their effects don't quite match our effects, we might feel like it's discord. And in the textbook, Ernest Holmes writes about appearance. The word appearance is used in the textbook to distinguish that which seems to be from that which actually is. Negative thinking may produce conditions that appear to be true, but these results have no power, no reality, except as given power by our believing that the appearance is the actuality. Now, what's he saying there? That God is unity, God is peace, God is harmony. God is each and every one of those higher spiritual qualities. But gosh, it's so hard to see it sometimes. This weekend we're actually celebrating, and I don't know if any of you are off tomorrow. I'm sort of off. But tomorrow we're celebrating the birth and the life of Martin Luther King Jr., a man who dedicated his life to a shift in consciousness in the community of this country and of this world towards something different than we've been putting out there in the past. For the longest time, each of our causes and each of our effects were bumping into each other and producing something called segregation, called slavery, called disconnection, disharmony, dis-ease in our nation. And Martin Luther King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And so if we're looking all around us and we're seeing a world of disharmony and disconnection and discord, maybe it's the eyes we're looking from. Maybe it's time that we kind of look into the mirror and see something greater and grander and more glorious than what it feels like we're seeing in the mirror. That maybe it's time for us to look through the eyes of love at our fellow man. Marianne Williamson, in her studies in the Course in Miracles, says, everything in life is about love expressing. Every action is either an expression of love or a call to love. That means we're either loving the world or we're crying out for love. And when I've been fortunate enough to begin teaching the Essential Ernest Holmes, and I actually challenged my class. I challenged them at each of the classes. You know, when Ernest Holmes says all there is God, and we're all big one global family, and can't we all just get along? Because we are all love at our core. How can it be that I can see all these things on the news, I can see all these experiences that don't look like love? And that's the question that I get, and I've been putting it out. The answer is like, well, we're all responsible for our own outer experience. We're all responsible for our own thinking, and we're all responsible for our own impressions. If I don't like what I'm seeing, then it's up to me to shift my awareness of it. And I left out that one most important component in my explanation, usually, but it's hit me now that, the one piece that I'm missing is love. And it's that life is always expressing love. Either it is an expression of love or a call for love. So if I'm seeing something in the world that I don't like, possibly, it's someone crying out for love. And I may not like the action that they're taking. I may not like what they're doing. I may not like the end result. But I have to just know that love is at work. And when we're talking about justice and connection, I don't know if any of you remember the church shooting in Charleston. Those 9 souls that were lost to a shooter who just believed differently than them and thought differently than them and took action on those thoughts. But I want to talk about what happened after it. As horrific and horrible and saddening and angering as that was, I don't know if any of you saw it, but the next day when the young man was arraigned and they brought him into a little bitty holding cell and let the families talk to him. I had my back turned. I was doing work, and I just had the TV on for noise in the background, and I heard the most amazing thing that chilled me to the core of my being. Stopped me in my tracks and made me turn around. And that was those family members who were able to talk to this young man, telling him that they forgave him. I actually wept at the idea, the thought that what had happened to their loved ones in their own lives, that had been taken away from them at times that were so short, and in some cases it just wasn't long enough. And their response was to forgive him. Not to condone what he did, but to forgive him. That is the ultimate act of love. To look those we disagree with the most vehemently, the most strongly in the face and say, you know what, I despise what you did. But you are a child of the divine. You are God expressing, and I forgive you and I love you. And I want to talk for just a second about what happened then after that. I don't know if any of you are from the South, but as you can tell, you know what, I am. And what happened as a result of those families forgiving that young man was a shift in consciousness. I don't know if you have any connection to the Confederate flag, but it's basically, Southern. We're all wrapped in it from birth. I mean, it's the Civil War. That flag is around everywhere. And as a result of those families saying, I forgive you, that Confederate flag began coming out and coming down all over the South. I can tell you for myself, from where I'm from, that is a tectonic shift. That is the power of love. And so I just am putting the call out to each one of us to remember what Martin Luther King said. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And that's a powerful statement. And when you can see it in your outer experience, shift happens. And so it's about us remembering that we are all connected. There is only one. And we are each a part of it. So, when we're looking at our thoughts creating our reality, what about now ourselves? What is it that I might be putting out there about myself, about my own personal feelings about myself, as well as those around me? Am I putting out an experience of love, or am I putting out an experience of discord, disharmony, disunity, disconnection? And that's what I want to talk about now, is that experience of looking at ourselves in the mirror. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see a cute little cuddly kitten when I look in the mirror all the time. I'd like to, but it's not always there for me. Some of you may know I'm going through a life issue right now myself that everyone experiences. This thing called transition. My mother is dealing with brain cancer, and it's deteriorating in her. Her condition is deteriorating, and it's causing me to reevaluate my life, my own experience, and the experience of those around me. And I can say with all honesty that the one word that has been thrown at me lately is not the word that I've ever seen in the mirror talking about me. But when I was home the Christmas holiday, my mother was, I was helping my mother, and I basically just stopped everything I was doing. My business stopped, my school stopped, studying for exams stopped, it all stopped for me. Church stopped. And I focused intently on my mother and being present for her right where she is. And we went to church on Sunday, and I sat with her in the service and then in the Sunday school afterwards, and she told all of her friends, I just want to tell everybody, this is the kindest person that I've ever met. Scott is so kind. That is not a word I would have ever looked in the mirror and seen about myself. You know, those of you who know me, I'm a Southern boy, but I'm a brusque New Yorker at heart. You know, I'm like, cut to the chase. Get to the point. Move on. I'm short and sweet. And so kindness is not one of the first words that pops into my head about me. But someone else saw me as kind. And so if you are expressing and experiencing yourself out in the world, How are you showing up? Are you showing up as a bright light in your own life and in the lives of those around you? Or is something different showing up? Because we are all responsible for our own thinking and our own experience, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not, whether we know it or not, or understand it or not. But most of us in this room, because we follow Ernest Holmes and the teachings of science of mind and religious science, we understand that our thoughts create our experience. And so it's about looking at the person in the mirror and seeing who that is. It's God. And so often, and I got to kind of meditating and thinking about this. I mentioned the last time I was speaking that, we all kind of say, God is everywhere except I'm in a hermetic seal. God is everywhere except, I'm in plastic. But no, God is everywhere, including in me. And it occurred to me, it's like, I wonder why it is that so many of us can't say that or see that in ourselves. And it comes down to the word perfection. God is perfect, and when I look in the mirror, I'm not perfect. So I can't be that. I disconnect myself from the perfection that is the infinite because I'm not that. I'm a tattered rag. I have imperfections. I speak my word and I bump into other people who are speaking their word, and our words don't always match. They don't always connect. But I want to put it out to you that that's what makes you perfect just as you are. You are perfect just as you are, tatters and all, warts and all, indecision and all, outer experiences and all. You are perfect right where you are. That's what makes you the infinite expressing right here as you right now. So I want to encourage each one of us to take a look in that mirror when we get home and have a new experience of ourselves. Look at yourself as the perfection of the infinite, just as you are, right where you are. Dr. Michael Beckwith writes, "You are here to wake up to the infinite possibilities of life. Life has already given you all that you need in your identity as a spiritual being. By waking up to the real and seeing yourself as you truly are, you will be in league with the able to do all things mentality. If you will own who and what you are right now and just express it and live it more and live your life fully right here, right now, just as you are, just imagine what great things can happen. And if you're living that experience, that expression from the place of love, watch how transformation happens. Watch how the infinite will show up for you in your world and in your experience. And in the coming weeks and the coming months, I and several others are going to be leading some initiatives for us to reach out and do more community service, more rest programs, more opportunities to connect with our outer community, schools and other communities, to recognize that we are a global community. We are a global family. We are one heart expressing. And so your homework, because we give you homework each week, your spiritual practice this week is when you get home, to say to yourself, looking in the mirror, I see the face of God here, now. Just remember, right where you are, who you are, right in this moment. You are an individualized expression of all that is. We are truly one global family. It begins with me. Namaste. So I want to invite us for a moment to just relax and go deeper. Letting go of all that is happening around us. Letting go of outer experiences and outer appearances. Knowing that there is only God happening. There is only one thing happening. Today, I call it love. Universal mind. Infinite intelligence. Creative law. Spirit. Whatever name I give it, I know that it is flowing in and through and around and as all that is. Because I am swimming in this ocean of love. It's who and what I am. It permeates my entire being, and it is so much more. It's who and what each one is. Each person here and each person within the sound of my voice. All there is love. That infinite harmony and creative intelligence expressing as all that is. And I let go in this moment of outer appearances in my own life and in the lives of each one around us, each one present and those not. We let go of outer appearances. And we look to the heart of love. And it begins with that person in the mirror. We see the face of God. I see the face of God in myself and in each one here and each one everywhere. All there simply is God. And so I know that there is no real truth to disharmony, discord, dis-ease, disconnection. We are all connected. We are all perfect, whole, and complete just as we are. So I declare a shift in consciousness in any place or any area in our lives where we may feel like or it may look like less than the perfection of love. Embracing it all, I see love in my experience and in the experiences of each one. Knowing this is the truth of who we are, I give thanks for this. Blessing this word and giving it over to that universal presence of God. So as I bless this word, knowing it is already done, whole and complete, I just simply let it go and allow it to be. And so it is.